So today is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024, and today was my first official day of transcranial magnetic stimulation therapy, or treatment for depression and anxiety. So I'm going to give you guys an overview of kind of how that went and how that felt. My goal is to make one of these videos every day that I'm undergoing TMS treatment so that I can keep track of my mood and see if I start noticing a difference or a change in my overall depressive symptoms or my symptoms of anxiety. So if that's something that you're interested in, feel free to like and subscribe and follow me on my TMS journey. I woke up around 9, I want to say. According to my watch, I got 7 hours and 35 minutes of sleep, which is a pretty big jump from the 4 or 5 hours of sleep I've been getting over the past couple of weeks. And I don't know what to attribute that to, because like my diet and my medication and nothing has really changed. So I took the 26.1 milligrams of Asteris, which is what I take for ADHD. It is a stimulant medication, and that's all the medication that I took today. I do also have the clonazepam, which I can take for anxiety, and startle reflex, which is really exaggerated, which I've talked about in previous videos, but I have not been taking it. I went in around 2, and my appointment for the TMS treatment was at 2:30, and again, this was the very first initial appointment, but prior to this I had talked to a representative or consultant over the phone where they collected my basic information and insurance information, and then a couple days ago I talked to the actual provider who was going to be administering the treatment today. That was a couple days ago. I talked to him via Zoom, and it was about an hour-long consultation where, again, he went over my history with depression and anxiety and what that felt like and why I wanted to get treatment. And based on that, he said, I think you're a good candidate. I really think we can help you with TMS, and this is how it works. So that was the initial Zoom call consultation, and today was the actual first treatment session. I went in, they had me fill out some paperwork, and again, some depression and anxiety rating scales, right? Because they want to see where I'm at baseline. They want to see where I am on the very first day of treatment. And I would say my depression today was around a 6 or 7, and my anxiety was all the way up to like a 9 or a 10. Especially once I got there, I just got this like rushing feeling of anxiety, like a wave of anxiety rushing through me. I was starting to have a little bit of a hard time breathing. I was feeling really nervous and on edge, and for no particular reason, I guess, because it's a new place and I didn't really know what to expect, even though they even sent me a video about what the process is like beforehand. It was the doctor and the assistant, right? So the technician that were in the room. They called me from the lobby into the room once I had finished filling out all their paperwork. The first thing that the doctor did was essentially mapping, but I think like he just ran a couple of tape measures around on my head in different directions to kind of measure the circumference of my head, and he made some marks, I'm assuming where he wanted the coils to go. And I have a very bad startle reflex, and I think that's partly due to my cerebral palsy, because I have read some research that indicates that people with CP tend to startle more easily. And so every time that he would touch me with a tape measure, I would jump. Every time that he would, like, if he touched like the back of my neck because he was measuring something, I would startle. And he said, "Is everything okay?" And I said, "Oh, I have an exaggerated startle reflex, and it tends to be worse with like new stimuli, right? So if I don't know that you're gonna like touch me, or if suddenly I hear a loud noise that I didn't know was coming, I will jump, and it's almost like uncontrollable." And he said, "Oh, okay." And I felt kind of weird saying that, because I really dislike my startle reflex, right? And he said, "Okay, well, what we're gonna do is every time I'm gonna like touch your head or something, I'm gonna let you know before I do it, right? And you give me the okay to go." And that really made me feel more comfortable and eased my anxiety quite a bit. It took a little bit to kind of feel okay and relax, at least as relaxed as I can be, because overall I feel like I can never really achieve a true state of relaxation because I'm always hyper vigilant and on edge. But that's part of the reason I'm doing this, right? Aside from the depression. So yeah, he finished like measuring my my head and making his marks, and then he told me to sit over on the treatment chair, and he said I'm gonna lean it back a little bit. Let me know when you're comfortable. And then they put the coil on my head. I think it was the left side first. And initially, what they were doing is they were looking for the motor cortex in the brain, I think. And the way that they were looking for that is they would, start the tapping or a pulse on a certain part of the skull. And they would look at my thumb or my fingers, and if my fingers kind of moved involuntarily, then they knew that they were kind of in the right vicinity, in the right place where they were that they were looking for. And the machine itself made like a loud clicking noise every once in a while, and of course I would startle. But the doctor was really good about he started letting me know before the machine would make the noises, and that kind of helped desensitize the startle reflex, because he would let me know right before, and then I would kind of be expecting it already, and after a while I didn't startle as much, so that was really helpful. Overall, they were very accommodating, and once they found the specific part of my brain that they were looking for, then they started treatment. They started with the left side, and the tapping on the left side was really fast. And it wasn't painful at all. It was an odd sensation. I felt my eyebrows kind of twitch a little bit, and he said that was because it'll sometimes tap the cranial nerve, which is responsible for your eyebrow movement. So it was weird to just kind of feel it moving up and down on its own. But again, was not painful, just kind of an odd feeling, right? And they tend to level up the power. I don't know if this is the right terminology, but they increase something. I think it's the intensity, right? Every so often. So they increase the intensity. I think they started at about 40%, and they asked me, how does that feel? And I'm like, I could barely feel it. Feels like a little bit of tapping, but it's not too bad. So then they moved it up to 50 and eventually to 65%. The coil around my head did feel a little snug, but nothing too uncomfortable. And he said eventually they want to get to 120 as far as like increasing the level, I think the intensity of the tapping. And today we only did up to 65, and it wasn't painful at all. It was just kind of an odd sensation. But everyone's pain tolerance and threshold is different. I've read online that some people do experience pain, but at least I didn't. So they did I don't know, about 20 minutes on this side, and there was the fast tapping, and then on the right side, when they switched the coil, it was a lot slower, so it was kind of slow tapping. And overall, the treatment was about an hour long. I'm not counting the time that it took them to kind of find the location and map my brain. I think overall it was a little over like an hour and a half. When I came out, I had a little bit of a headache, but I think it didn't help that I didn't eat beforehand. Treatment started at 2:30, and the only meal that I had at that point was breakfast. So I think next time I'll be sure to snack or eat another meal before. I had a little bit of a headache when I got out of the treatment, nothing intense, nothing like migraines or anything. And I did feel tired, a little bit fatigued. Not depressed, just tired, like I wanted to, rest and go to sleep for a bit. Nothing that was unmanageable, nothing compared to some of the side effects I've experienced with medications. And I've tried a ton of medications, and you can check them out on my channel. I've reviewed a ton. But overall, it was an okay experience. I was really nervous going into it, but they really went above and beyond to kind of accommodate, my needs. And by the time that the session was over, I felt a lot more relaxed. This is a pretty intensive treatment. It's 5 days a week. for 45 minutes to an hour. So today was the first treatment. Tomorrow I will be going in for the second treatment. As far as my mood overall, not super anxious, not super like sad or depressed, just feeling a little bit of fatigue and the tiredness that I mentioned earlier.